and we played an Illini team that we had beaten about 3.5 weeks prior to that. And I remember telling our team after the match that we're going to play them again in about 3.5 weeks, and we're going to have to be ready because they'll be a lot better. And they were really good at Huff Hall. In talking to Tim Newton earlier, he reminded me so kindly that when he stopped listening before they boarded the plane, we were up 1-0 and 18-14 in the second. And I remember that very clearly. And that was when the Illini went on in an 11-1 run to finish out the second set. And it felt like we were kind of playing from behind the rest of the match. I want to credit our kids for fighting, even though we weren't quite right. It didn't seem like the rest of that night in that particular environment. I thought we battled. We made a few adjustments. You know, when things start to go a little south, you're always trying to find something that can help, that might give you a spark, change things. I did think Lauren Poulter came in and did a nice job setting and running the team. I thought Rastovsky came in the late in the third and into the fourth and really gave us some good swings and had a stuff block. So if you follow the Big Ten and you watch what happened this past week, it's kind of a microcosm of the whole year. With you got two teams that are beating everybody, Nebraska and Wisconsin, and then after that, it's a free-for-all. And Michigan, who had won one match, they beat Ohio State yesterday. Northwestern, of course, had beaten us, but now they're playing without their best offensive player. They beat Indiana. And then all across the country, Stanford loses, Washington State loses. A lot of really good teams, are getting beat. And our league is just really balanced and really tough. And now we look at the biggest challenge week of the season, where we go to Wisconsin on Wednesday to play a team that's just loaded with talent, big and physical, good on both sides of the ball, and just going to be the biggest challenge that we'll face all year is playing up at Badger Fieldhouse. And then on Sunday, we host Penn State. And again, a Penn State team that, we beat at Rec Hall, and so they'll have that much more motivation. So it's really going to be a test of resilience for us and toughness. And I've talked all year about how tough this team is, but now we have to go to a new level, I think, as we get ready to play two teams, the second and third ranked team in our league, and two teams with tremendous talent that we're going to play. So with that, now that everybody is here, we'll go ahead and start with questions.
When you guys are up 18-14 in the second set, and you said then you kind of started playing from behind, what do you think switched? Was it more Illinois just kind of being more powerful, or was it more Purdue struggling, or what do you think changed?
One of the big keys in the game of volleyball is serving pressure. And in matches where things have gone pretty well for us, we found ways to create that. When we played Illinois in here, for an example, we served them off the floor. Now, part of that could have been inexperience on their side, playing on a different floor. We didn't serve them off the floor at Huff Hall. And they're one of the better serving teams in the league. They just put massive pressure on you with the serve. And when you look at the league standings in Big Ten play, we're the third best passing team in the conference. So we're holding our own in this league with passing, but we're not putting enough pressure on opponents. So that's something we have to do. But I thought that was a change. All of a sudden, they're really applying pressure. They were really motivated in that match, and they just needed that opening and that little run to kind of build their confidence that they could beat a top 20 ranked team. And they were coming at us from all angles. And even though defensively I thought we did fine, we just didn't do well enough offensively. And they're a big blocking team like we're going to see on Wednesday. So we're going to have to find some ways to build chip away at those teams that are big and physical, especially blocking our left side hitters.
Then looking ahead to Wisconsin, Penn State, obviously hard to beat a team twice, especially a team like Wisconsin that's ranked top 2 right now. Mm-hmm. How do you switch the mindset and focus on that coming off of this loss?
Well, I think that won't be a problem. I asked one of my coaches today in the office, I said, do you feel like you just had your lunch handed to you on Saturday, or do you feel like you've won 4 of your last 5 matches against teams in the top half of the league? And fortunately, he said he felt pretty good, that he thought we were playing pretty well, and that we were a team that won 4 of our last 5. I think our players will be fine. I mean, I think they look forward. They came to the Big Ten for exactly this: Wisconsin, Penn State, opportunities to really do something special. I know one of those matches are on national TV, this one on Wednesday at Madison. So great opportunities for our team to continue to get better. I mean, I know there are always going to be people out there that feel like we should be winning every match, but in reality, we're a young team that's still developing, and at times we're going to slip a little bit. You don't like to see it, but sometimes you're going to when you're this young. But as the season goes on, you should get better and better and better. And I think that we have shown that. And this will be another opportunity for us to go out and see if we can do a few things better than what we did at Illinois, and just continue to prepare. Our goal is how do we do in the tournament? You know, we certainly want to do well in the Big Ten, and right now we're in a pretty good position. Our schedule is the toughest in the Big Ten, okay, just the way that it came out. And that's bad news if you want to finish really high in the Big Ten, but it's good news from an RPI standpoint. I'm not sure if we've discussed that or not, but a lot of the teams with most of the losses overall in our league, we only play 1 time. So that helps our RPI, and right now our RPI is 17 or 18. It got as high as 13 before we played Illinois, and now it's 17 or 18. Still in pretty good shape. We have Michigan, who's a good team, but whose win-loss record's not very good, so that will hurt when we play them. But nobody else we play the rest of the season, or we're going to take a big hit with an RPI.
What kind of things do you guys need to do against a powerhouse team like Wisconsin on Wednesday?
Yeah, they run a what's called a 6-2 offense, where their setter is always in the back row, so they've got 6 other hitters, so 3 hitters in the front row all the time, and in 3 of those rotations, they've got Sarah Franklin also hitting out of the back row. So defensively, it's just really going to take great focus and concentration, and if we don't take them out of what they want to do with our serve, it's going to be a miserable night. It just will be, no matter who they play. They beat Minnesota like a drum on yesterday afternoon on a team on Fox Network, and they made it look easy. You know, we were happy to win 3-0 over Minnesota, but we didn't make it look easy like Wisconsin did in that match yesterday. But you have to put pressure on them with the serve. Defensively, you've got to get in front of some people and block some balls so they don't feel like they can just swing from the hip. And our blocking is getting better. We're the 3rd-ranked team in the league right now blocking-wise, and Raven's doing a great job. We got to get some more people blocking balls. So I think serving, blocking, our backcourt defense will play their tails off. You know, we'll have to make some adjustments specifically to some of their players. So how well we comprehend that and go into the match will also be important. Thank you.
Dave, I'm going to go back to what you were mentioning about RPI, and you know, especially the way your season started to be 14-7, and right on that fringe of maybe if things play out well the last month here, we can host in the NCAA tournament. Do you feel like this team is in a good situation with as young as it is?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know how anybody could look at this situation and not be encouraged, but there's 8 more matches to play. And how are we going to play? Every match is, as I've said before, it feels like a season of itself. When I start preparing for Wisconsin, our team, our staff, as soon as our match was over, we're looking at Wisconsin. So you had, you know, part of Saturday night, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday you play Wisconsin, and you just have to make sure you're ready to play every single match. We're healthy. You know, there's not anything wrong with our team that you look at and you think they're going the wrong direction, except that we got beat on Saturday. Anything else you look at, thinks you got to be encouraged by how well this young team is playing. Our passing is toward the top of the Big Ten. Our blocking is toward the top of the Big Ten. Offensively, we just got to serve the ball tougher. That's the key. We have to serve the ball tougher to make it a little bit easier on our defense. We're not the biggest team in the league, but we may be as scrappy as anybody, but we've got to make things a little bit easier for us by serving the ball more efficiently.
And this is something you've talked about probably the last couple of weeks, but when I was here for the Minnesota match, I specifically was kind of watching how Raven handles leading players, and it seems like she talks to different players differently. Like she knows which players you can get on and which players you have to kind of just pull aside and talk to. Is that part of growing into a leader? Is this, I mean, you can't lead everybody the same way, for example.
No, I think she's learned a tremendous amount, Sam, during this year, to where she used to be loud and aggressive with everybody, you know, and as you've mentioned, you can't treat everybody the same way. They're not going to, if you want them to respond favorably, then there's a certain way you treat everybody. Now, sometimes you just got to let people know what you think, and she does a nice job of that. But I think she's really learned how to become a really good leader, and I'm so happy that she is doing that, because sometimes it's hard on a volleyball team to find those players that will step up and care enough about the team that they're willing to step out of their comfort zone to be that leader. So, but I think she's done a great job. Thanks.
You know, you already touched on obviously the tough slate this week. Has this been kind of circled on your schedule for a while in Big Ten play?
You know, not really. Not for me. Now, our players might tell you something different. I quite frankly don't want to know who's too far down the road. I just want to know who's next. And in this case, it's a really, really good team. I don't think Wisconsin's ever had this much talent on one team before, and they've won a national championship, and they've been in Final Fours frequently over the last 10 years. So but it's a really, really good team. And I think from a coaching staff standpoint, how do we cut into what they're doing? How do we make them look a little bit more normal than they really are? So we're going to try to figure out what we can do. Chances are it's going to be really hard to do, especially on their court, the way they're playing right now. We always look forward to playing Wisconsin because we know they're one of the best programs in the country. Traditionally, we play them close. We haven't had as many wins in the last 5 years as we would like, but traditionally, we play them very close.
And then the win streak that you guys had going into the Illinois game, a lot of 3-1s, 3-0s in there. How impressive and encouraging was that for you? And then do you think your players were feeding off of it as well?
Well, I feel good when our team plays well, whether it's a win or a loss. I didn't fall apart Saturday night because I don't think we were that bad. People that just want to look at the score and they look at, well, we beat Illinois easily 3.5 weeks ago, and I think they're 5th in the league right now. Okay, so it's not like they're chopped liver, but sometimes people feel like you should just go to Huff Hall and win, and so you have to kind of get through that a little bit. But I'm encouraged by how we're playing, and I felt good that we were able to win at Ohio State, win at Penn State, bounce back and beat Indiana here, and then somebody else was halfway decent we beat. I kept forgetting who that might have been. Well, Penn State. I said Penn State, Ohio State, somebody else here. But anyway, like I said, I'm just trying to focus on what's next, and right now that's the Badgers.
And then 34 errors against Illinois. Did that jump out to you? And then if so, how are you? No,
that's a good mind, good eye right there. I think that was a result of two things. They're physical, they're big. And so they block a few balls, and all of a sudden you're having to try to do things you don't do normally. Okay, it's kind of like in basketball. If you can't score the way you normally score, you try to do things, and you throw the ball away, you make a bad shot, things like that. I also think that with this group being young, sometimes we played 7 matches in 7 days, or 3 matches in 7 days. So I could see us emotionally bogging down a little bit, wearing down a little bit. And that might have had something to do it. But quite honestly, I give all the credit to Illinois. I just think that they came to play, and they blocked really, really well. They served very tough. What they did defensively was very successful against us because we did not execute the adjustments that we needed to make well enough. So give credit to them. Thank you.
Dave, let me play off that question a little bit. You talk about the emotional toll, I guess, that the Big Ten takes. How do you, especially with young players, a young setter going through this for the first time, how do you get them mentally to get through these 20 mini wars that you have to play in the Big Ten?
Well, you just let them sleep at night, and when they come in the next day, you try to be positive and not dwell on. We're not going to go in and show them how all the mistakes we made against Illinois. We're not going to do that. These guys understand when they didn't perform, and some teams, it doesn't take them very long to recover. Other teams takes them a little longer because they care enough about the success of the team and the time that they put into it. And it's nice to have a combination of those kind of attitudes on a team. You don't want to have 17 players that just get so upset when they lose. You've got to have some people helping them bounce back. And my approach after that match, Tim, at Illinois was, hey, there's going to be matches like this in this league, all right? The key is, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to learn from what just happened in this match, how they did something to slow us down and we didn't adjust well enough to find a way to beat them, and it looked like we just got a little frustrated. And so, you know, you try to figure out how you can better yourself based on what your last match looked like.
And you're always looking for constant improvement. Can you tell me how Chloe Chacoin is better today than she was in match 1 this season?
Yeah, I mean, she was pretty good in match 1, if I remember, because she's such an experienced player for a freshman. But I think that she's understanding what it takes in this league. Even though she has played with the USA under-21 team and the under-19 team and has played a ton of volleyball, she hasn't seen anything like this. And so what she's learning is, okay, how do I score when I've got 2 big blockers in front of me all the time? Because she and Eva are both going to see that on a consistent basis. She's learning how to attack well out of the back row. And she's learning how to play defense better. She has to understand, like, one thing she'll do right now that I'm talking to her a little bit about is she's thinking offense. When she's receiving serve, sometimes she's thinking, I've got to put a ball away. So instead of really focusing on a ball being served in her area, sometimes she starts to bail out already. And then she's got to come back in and maybe make the play. So she still has plenty to learn. But every day I get a text from her saying, what time can I come in and pass? And, you know, we meet and we get some extra reps in. But I just think that just the complexity of this game at this level, when you're playing against players who are going to be on the national team, most of the players in this league are going to go play professionally somewhere, and you're a freshman that's 18 years old having to play at this level, there's a lot to learn. But she's a fast learner, and she's a great competitor.
Dave, I think back to when Brittany Dildine was here, and then I think she used her 5th year to go play basketball for Sharon, and then she joined your staff as a volunteer assistant. Just could you see her someday she's going to be a head coach at some point, kind of growing to the point where she is now, where she's, you know, regarded as one of the best coaches in the country? Yeah,
really surprised to some extent that she hasn't taken that next step. But everybody's personal agenda's different, right? And I know there's been some years that she's looked, and it just hasn't been the right job, even though they were really good offers to Power 5 schools. She loves it at Wisconsin. She and Kelly Sheffield and the other assistant, Gary, have made a great team up there. They've got as good a talent and as good of a situation as anybody in the country. So I think in some ways she's been wise just to stay happy. And you know, she enjoys what she's doing. And when the time's right, you know, she may make that next step. But she's a great recruiter. She has taken a lot of the things that she's learned over the course of time as a defensive coach and a passing coach and a serving coach. And we all know that she's one of the most competitive women around. I mean, she's a great competitor. She was here my first year, Sam. You probably remember that, okay? And we were thankful she was, because she was somebody that helped us turn this thing around. And you don't do that without incredibly confident and competitive people. And she was exactly what we needed at that time. Yeah. Okay, thank you guys. See you next week.